600 channel. Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Delighted to have back in the studio with us today Michael Pink, and he's in and out of Southern Oregon a lot. He sneaks in, he sneaks out, and when he's here, we grab him. And delighted to have him with us. He heads up Michael Pink Innovations, and he's an author, a speaker, business consultant. Last time I was here, I was just telling Michael, the last time you were here, you shared your personal testimony and how the Lord brought you through a very difficult time in your life, and the meeting of your wife and all of that. We had an incredible response to that. So,
yeah.
And then you shared it on your Facebook and website and stuff, huh?
Well, I think that the program, what you guys do, needs to be widely received. It needs to go to a larger audience. And so one of the things we want to do is make sure more people know about Dove. You know, I've known you for a good number of years, and been privileged to be on this program a few times, and I just wanted more folks to know about it.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome back. Well, I want to talk to you today about being a witness in the marketplace. You know, it's so interesting. Not only are people looking for truth and who can they trust, but more and more business people are now beginning to say, hey, wait a minute, something's wrong here. I need something else. So really the doors are open, don't you think?
The doors are open. You know, Jesus, at the end of the day, at the end of his time on earth, he basically pulls the team together and he says, now listen, here's what I want you to do. He's giving his final command. He wants you to go out and preach the gospel, to disciple the nations, to baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and to teach them to observe all his commands. That's the final thing he leaves us with. And I see in the marketplace a great hunger for truth, and people are looking for it in all the wrong places. And the Christians, by and large, are too timid to share. They're reserved in that. We have men like yourselves and others that have a public profile and they're on television. All that's wonderful and good. But I'm talking about where the rubber meets the road. I'm talking about on the streets. I'm talking about in offices, on boardrooms and airplanes and restaurants and all those kinds of things. Yeah. We don't see a lot of that, and that's a concern to me that I want to talk about.
Well, I want to get into this, and by the way, Michael Pink is also a consultant, and we'll be giving you his website here in a few moments, and perhaps you can correspond with him. Well, you know what's interesting about this, Michael, is that we have to admit that the smart guys have messed things up. You know
yeah, they have, because you know can I say this?
Yeah.
I think we've dumbed down Christianity. Think about it. Yeah. We got more of the gospel going out on the airwaves and television, radio. We got more of that. The mega churches, all that. But think of the impact that Christianity is having on the culture. Yeah. And in my estimation, it is diminished.
Right.
Over the last 100 years.
Right, right.
So what has happened to that? And I think we've tried to reach out to the lowest common denominator and make it as acceptable as possible. And what I call, Perry, I call it Burger King Christianity. Have it your way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think that's what's happened is I'll take that Jesus and I'll add it to my New Age, or I'll add it to my whatever other version of religion they have, and it's information. There's not a resulting transformation. Yeah. And transformation doesn't come just by receiving information. There's more to it.
I've often said if we're not careful, we end up being a cut and paste religion if we're not careful.
Right.
You know, and we've done that. We've done that. All right. Now you have led a lot of people to the Lord in the marketplace. What are the challenges in doing that? And how do you go about doing that?
Well, I'm going to break a few bubbles here. I mean, okay. I know there are people that go out and they do street witnessing, and I applaud that, and they do preaching, you know, on the soapbox, and that's all well and good. But you know, I come from sales. That's my background. And in sales, we know that not everybody really needs my product. Okay, if you're good at, and so you're wasting your time to go knocking on every single door and try to get everybody to buy your product. Now, everybody needs Jesus, but not everybody's ready to receive Jesus. Right. So here's the thing: when I'm in business, I'm in a business, I'll ask the Father before I go in, and before I go in, actually, I spend time connecting with Him. I don't mean just reading the Bible, doing some duty, checking off a list. I'm talking about connecting. Okay, I'm talking about learning to tune my ear to hear. And then when I go into a place of business, I look around and say, Father, who in this place is looking for you? Who in this place? Where are your sons and your daughters that don't know you yet, but you've got them marked out for you and that are ready right now.
Wow.
Can I give you one recent example?
Yeah.
In August, my air conditioning went out. Now, that's a big deal in Florida, okay? I wasn't too concerned because it'd been raining every day, and I thought, okay, well, I can handle this until I get it fixed. But the sun broke out that day, and for the next 3 days, we had blazing high record temperatures and no air conditioning. So I hired a company who brought in portable AC units to keep my house cool, better than going to a hotel, I thought.
Yeah.
And so the young man came in, starting out his business. He came in, he's bringing the units. It takes maybe an hour to get everything set up. I'm just minding my own business. And the Lord just spoke this to me. He said something to the effect, it was more of an impression. How do you feel about having a man in your home, knowing that he's likely headed to hell, and saying nothing to him?
Wow. Wow.
How do you feel about that?
Whoa.
And I said, Lord, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
But you know what? He did everything, he installed everything, and I didn't talk to him. Not because I was timid or afraid, but because I got involved in getting everything hooked up, and he left. So I said, Lord, I'm so sorry, but when he comes back to remove it, I'll do it. Just give me an opening. Give me any opening. Okay, now I don't tackle the guy. When he came in the door, I did not say, do you know about Jesus? I don't do that. There's a reason for it. But I said, give me an opening. So the man said to me, well, what do you do for a living? Well, that was my opening. That's good enough. And so as we talked, he said, look, I'm more or less an atheist. I don't believe in anything that you can't see, that you can't measure, that you can't prove exists. So I don't really believe in God. I said, really? Are you married? He said, yeah. I said, do you have children? Mm-hmm. Do you love your wife? Of course. Do you love your children? Absolutely. Do they love you? Yeah. Prove it. How do I know that? What she makes meals for you? They do that at restaurants. What, she cleans your clothes? You can get that at the cleaners. Tell me what she does that proves that she loves you, that you can't get anywhere else without love. So, but you die for that fact. You will absolutely swear to it that she loves you and you love her, and you know it, but you can't prove it, you can't measure it, you can't quantify it.
Wow.
But you're telling me that you love. And guess what? The Bible says that God is love.
Yeah.
He is love. And so I started realizing, wait just a minute. So long story short, probably 30 minutes later, he was praying with me to receive Christ in my kitchen.
Really?
But that's not unusual.
Yeah.
There's a process. I don't think that it's the best way to tackle a stranger and nail them with the 4 spiritual laws.
Right.
I come alongside them, I find a point of commonality, but I really only approach those that I feel like
God's leading you to.
He's leading me to. And I will tell you that I was thinking today, that's probably about 90 to 95% of the people that I talk to about Jesus, then and there, on the spot, give their life to Him that day.
You know, Michael, we have a lot of various programming on both the radio and the TV here at the Dove. The number one popular programs are the ones that deal with the subject of apologetics, defending your faith. And I find it so interesting because do we really, and I say this respectfully, do we need any more sermons? Do we need to go to any more seminars? Do we need to read any more books? I mean, we got enough. At what point do we take what we do know and share it?
Okay, let me go back to sales.
He's a preacher. I just love him.
let me go back to sales. Okay, in sales, the number one thing that sales managers have, and I was sales manager, VP of sales, all those kinds of things, business owner, entrepreneur. One thing that you know is salespeople, they don't want to actually go out and do it. What they want is they want to be hired as a salesperson, but typically they want the phone to ring and say, hey, will you tell me about your product? Oh, and you say, and how much is it? It's $1,000. Well, I'll take 12 of them. That's what salespeople want. They don't want to do the going out. Now, in church, what we want to do, okay, the corporate church, if you will, we go there, we want to get quote-unquote fed. Who lives on 1 meal a week anyway? But we want to get that, but we don't want to do what we're called to do. What we're called to do. And we sometimes think it's like, well, I got to go out and be a street preacher. No, you don't. I got to go out and knock on doors. No, you don't. I don't go typically in those, and in fact, I've never done that. I go where the Lord leads me to and where He opens the doors, and there's enough opportunities. You think, well, people talk about, oh, you've heard this, right, Perry? There's a great revival coming?
Yeah.
Come on. What did Jesus say? It's now. The field is white now.
Yeah.
It's always been white. There's enough, there's so much opportunity right now. We don't need, as I agree with you, we don't need more information. We don't need to be fed more and more and more. We need to simply obey. Go out and do it. Teach it. Disciple people. Come alongside people and introduce them to Jesus. just in a very life-changing way. Share your own story. It's not complicated.
You know, I've told businessmen, your ministry is not necessarily your business. Your business is a tool for ministry. This business is a hospital where God's sending the customer through the door that needs help, and He may use auto parts to do it. He may use the car dealership to do it, whatever it is. But they're really people being sent to you to be ministered to.
I look at business as a context for relationship. Mm-hmm. You have a 3-year-old child. He wants to do with those things that, what do you call those little things you put together and you build a castle and.
Oh, Legos.
Legos, okay? And so the little boy, little girl wants to do Legos, right? And they build a little castle, and you're there with them, right? They're all enthralled in it, making it just right, the drawbridge and all that kind of stuff. Does it really matter that they have it wrong? Does it really matter that it's not even? It's a context for relationship. And business is a context for relationship, first of all, with me and the Father. Why? Because I absolutely know that I need Him. And I call on Him every day. I absolutely know that. Number 2, it's a context for relationship with those I work with. And number 3, it's a context for relationship with those that I'm interacting with in the process of business. And when I do, what I urge the viewers to do is have your ears open. Don't try to tackle somebody. There's enough people that are ready today. Not every grain of wheat in the field is ready for harvest today, but there's plenty that are. And all you have to do is, number 1, take the time to tune in to the Father. Number 2, walk in with, I'm ready to be used. Number 3, when He speaks to you, obey. I was on a plane flying back across the country, and I was very happy because I had picked a particular seat that wasn't going to have anybody beside me. I was going to have leg room, arm room, you know the deal. Well, and then just as that happened, on the other side of the aisle, 2 people came in, undesirable to me in terms of how they filled up the seats and how they looked and so forth, and they sat there, and I thought, I pity the poor guy who's going to sit beside them. Well, you know what? A guy came up and said, "Sir, you're in my seat." And I had to move over and sit there with them. And then the Holy Spirit said, "I want you to talk to them about being born again." And I thought, I'm busy. I'll tell you the story later when we come back.
Wow, okay. Well, Michael Pink's with us, and how do people get a hold of you?
Well, michaelpink.com is the easiest way. Okay. They can just go to my website, michaelpink.com. They can learn more about us there. We have a phone number and contact information there, and that'll work.
michaelpink.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Well, we are so delighted that, again, Southern Oregon is going to be blessed with a premier Christian band, and MercyMe is going to be here Friday night out at the Lithia Amphitheater, along with Cutlass, which is kind of our own homegrown band. And I understand ticket sales are going along pretty well, so if you haven't picked up your tickets, you may want to check them out at Evangel and get some tickets. The weather's supposed to be great. It's supposed to be a nice, clear fall evening, but it will get a little cool, so make sure you take along some warm clothing. Well, Barry Graul is one of the lead guitarists and with MercyMe, and our own Jerry Bilden had a chance to chat with him about the concert coming up, so let's join that conversation.
Well, with me on the phone right now is Barry Graul, the guitarist for MercyMe. And Barry, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on the phone, and we can't wait to see you here when you're in town coming up in a few nights.
Oh, thanks so much. We're looking forward to it. Man, and we get to play with Cutlass, which is an added bonus. So
you bet. And of course,
we
claim Cutlass as Oregon's own because those guys are from around here. But hey, I want to ask you a couple things. First of all, tell me a little bit about your daily lessons when you were younger with the likes of Jimmy Page and Eddie Van Halen.
Man, that is just reference to, you know, I'm older, and so I didn't have anything but records back then to learn off of. And so I would literally drop the needle on the record, and I would put quarters on the record the quarters on the needle to slow it down, or the record even actually. I would weight it down to slow the record down from spinning so I could learn their licks.
That is cool. I've never heard of that technique.
I mean, honestly, if I was, if you had to learn guitar today, it's so much easier. There's so many tools. It's amazing. But that's what we had to do.
Yeah,
but
well,
yeah, they were my teachers.
That is awesome. Good teachers indeed. Now, and you started playing like in clubs and dances and stuff like that. You were doing basically secular music.
Yeah. I spent probably 5 or 6 years playing a lot of dances and probably 30% nightclubs and stuff. But yeah, high school dances for days.
What were some of the songs in your repertoire?
Oh man! At one point, we did like 7 AC/DC songs. Just pick any one of those from that era. Oh man, Rick Springfield. I mean, you name it. I mean, honestly, we had to learn about 1 or 2 songs every week to stay current. Because every time a new song was released, we'd get a letter from the school going, "Hey, we need you guys to learn this song." Or, so I mean, you had to learn and delete. So,
well, tell me about how you first got turned on to Christian music. How did that come about?
Man, this is great. I've never been asked this in an interview before, and it's basically my testimony. And I grew up in a Christian home, and quote unquote, accepted Christ at a pretty early age, and which in my heart of hearts, I accepted Christ and wanted to walk with Christ, but I was the black sheep of the family, and I did every experimental thing known to man through high school, and just fell in with the wrong crowd. And peer pressure is horrible for people who don't have any self-control. And so I started playing rock music, and what happened was, to make a long story short, I was in that band for a long time that, we played dances and clubs and stuff like that. And then at the band disbanded, we quit, and there was an auditioning for another band that was going to open up. And my best friend, who was our sound guy, said, "Hey man, they got an open slot on guitar. All you got to do, they know who you are, is walk in, play 1 note, you're in the band." And I can remember sitting by the phone, and there was just a horrible gut-wrenching feeling, like I was not supposed to do that. And I picked up the phone, and I called him and said, "I'm not going." Wow. And that was a huge turning point in that life. And man, and that was a lot of prayer, I think, from my family members and people who know that, you know what, you don't need to be doing this kind of stuff. And so, and it wasn't very long after that I got a phone call from a friend of mine who was playing in a Christian cover band down the street at a different church, and they called me and said, "Hey, you want to come play with us?" And that was it, man. I was sold. I was like, what is Christian music? The first group he ever played me was Undercover. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys remember that band. Yeah. Long time ago. And man, that was it. And we started going out, and I turned my life back over to Christ, and I started writing songs with those guys and stuff like that. And I just wanted to do it on a larger level. Was at a camp and met Chris Rice, who nobody really knew who Chris Rice was at that time. Wow. And he lived in Nashville. And I said, "Man, I want to do that. I feel the calling to really, just show the gospel to the world in a different way. And I wanted, the vehicle of music." And he said, "Well, come to Nashville and stay with me for a week and check it out." And so I did. I went to Nashville, stayed with Chris Rice, and we played football, and he showed me all around the city. And he's like, "I never want to sign a record deal." He goes, "It'll mess up my ministry," because he was doing camps every single weekend. Like when I moved to Nashville, I maybe saw him twice a year. It was unbelievable. And he didn't have a deal yet. Oh, wow. And so, and that was it, man. I found a place to live and moved to Nashville, and here I am.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
That's a long one, and you can edit.
No, that's very cool. Thank you. And I want to ask you, since then, you've played with pretty much a list of who's who in Christian music, and you did that for a bunch of years before you were with MercyMe.
Yeah, I did. When I moved to Nashville in '88, I I actually got a job at Opryland Hotel, and I worked there for about a year and 3 months, and then auditioned for Rick Kua, who was going out on the Rock, Rhythm, and Rap tour. Rick Kua, Morgan Cryer, and Michael Peach was a hip-hop guy. And then just, you know, after that, I was just a sideman for whoever I could be with White Cross and White Heart and Halo and Michael English and DC Talk, Audio Adrenaline, and the list, you know, the list goes on.
Goes on, yeah. Now, how did you connect with MercyMe?
We had done a couple. I was playing for Toby Mac, and we had done a fall festival together, Toby Mac and countless other bands. It was the Festival Candios.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Yep.
We traveled around, we set up in parking lots, and then that was that fall. And then Toby said, you know, that was a bunch of bands plus MercyMe. So that's where I met MercyMe, and we played golf together and went to the movies and stuff. And so Toby said, well, listen, I'm doing a record in the spring. I only have about 4 shows. If you guys can find other work, find a substitute if you have to, and we'll see what happens. So not long, I guess it was coming into the spring, I got a call from Will McGinnis, and I was actually out playing a weekend, 3 shows with The Waiting, because their guitar player had to stay back and finish some mixes or something, which is really funny. But Will McGinnis called me and said, hey, we need to take an extra guitar player besides Tyler. We're going out with MercyMe for like 55 shows.
Ooh.
Would you be willing to? I'd be like, yes. Let me pray about it, yes. And so, you know, I got a substitute to fill in for Toby, and it was at the end of that tour that MercyMe asked me to join.
Outstanding.
So, that's
very cool. Well, let me ask you,
my whole life.
what's the best part of being in MercyMe?
Oh man, you know what? The best part is actually being a family, because when you're a sideman and just playing for, you know, you go out with this weekend with this person, another weekend with that person. There's no family unit feel, but we get to do everything together, and you know, it's the ups and the downs, and that really is the best part. You know, that I was missing doing, you know, just doing sideman work.
Now, when you guys are out, obviously you guys, you're in concert a lot. You certainly spend a lot of time in the studio as well. But when you're out and you're doing shows, how do you categorize a good show? What is a good show for you?
A good show is probably when we, you know, everything is firing on all cylinders, meaning, you know, everybody's feeling good. There were no horrible technical difficulties.
Yeah.
And, you know, and honestly, it's like when you feel like you're really connecting with the crowd, which, you know, we have a couple songs that really do that. And, you know, it's hard to say that we really have any bad shows, you know, because God moves in so many different ways in different people. And so, you know, just a great show is when everything is just going great, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, really bad shows are really bad shows. Usually you know, that's the monitor mix in our ears.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you something. With that in mind, do you ever have shows that may have all the elements of a bad show? You had some technical glitches, maybe, but then you heard maybe stories of some of how people were reached during the Does it ever change your opinion of a bad show when you hear some of that stuff?
You know. Okay, not really. Okay, I have one really good story, but then you don't really hear the bad stuff. Is what we think is bad is not bad to other people, to the audience. They don't even know it. They have no idea. So it's only bad to us. But on the good side, we finished the show one night and we did a little meet and greet afterwards, and his father came through the line with 4 boys. And he proceeded to tell Bart, he's like, I just want to tell you that my wife passed away, and you know, we played I Can Only Imagine, you know, at her funeral, and he was, you know, Bart in his mind, you know, this is not bad about any story we've ever heard about Imagine, because, you know, we take it very seriously what we do, and it, you know, that song has touched 1 million people. And so Bart was already kind of fast forwarding in his mind, and he's telling us this. He's like, yeah, I'm not the guy. I know what the guy was saying, you know, and his wife passed away. And it's like, we've heard that story a million times. But then the guy says, but I want to let you know, all 4 of my boys accepted Christ at your show tonight.
Wow.
That was the kicker.
Wow.
And that's why we do what we do. And you know, emails that we've gotten of people that were going to commit suicide, but pulled over the side of the road when they heard the song "I'm Beautiful" and decided not to commit suicide. We've gotten emails like that through our management company. I mean, that makes it all worthwhile to us. So, you know, God speaks through us to folks in so many different ways.
That's amazing. I appreciate hearing that. Now, you guys are going to be here in a couple nights. Last question here. Anything you'd like to share with our audience in advance, in anticipation of Friday night's concert?
Oh man, we're just ready to worship with Cutlass. Cutlass is an awesome band. They were actually on the Dove show that we did with Audio Adrenaline, those 55 cities. So we've known those guys a long time, and we love them. And we're gonna all worship together. And just aside from that, we will have a new record coming out in the spring, and we're shooting a video for a song that no one's heard yet, and I can't tell you anything about it. But it is going to be awesome.
All right.
So let you know about that one.
Excellent. Well, we really appreciate that. We're really excited about Friday night's concert. And Barry Graul, guitarist for MercyMe, thank you so much for spending time with us, and we look forward to seeing you this Friday night.
We look forward to it, too. Thank you so much.
And the weather's going to be great, so looking forward to MercyMe and Cutlass Friday night out at the Lithia Amphitheater. Check it out. Coming up next, a story that is just stunning. Don't miss it. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Well, our next guest is very special, and I think perhaps all of us at one time or another look back and remember the newsreels, the stories, and the things that we saw back in 1994 when Rwanda was going through an incredible genocide, unlike anything we ever seen before. Millions of people lost their lives. With us today is Nsengimana. There we go, I got it. And we're Skyping him in. He is actually a survivor from Rwanda. But if you look closely, for those watching on theDove TV, look what he has on his sweater today. He has Operation Christmas Child, and there's a story behind that as well. Alex, nice to have you, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me today, Perry.
Good to see you. Quite a story. First of all, I want to fast forward. You survived genocide, and I want you to come back to that story. But you went on, and because of Operation Christmas Child and receiving a shoebox, your life was changed.
That's right.
What happened?
So I lived in an orphanage after the war. And I remember that day when Operation Christmas Child and Samaritan's Purse had come to Rwanda to deliver shoeboxes in my orphanage. And I can remember that day how we're excited to open the shoebox and receive those small toys that reminded me that someone was out there thinking about me. And it was a very, very special day.
All right, so you went from there, you gave your life to Christ. You ended up in the African Children's Choir, correct?
Yes, a year later, after I received the shoebox and how that shoebox planted a seed of hope in me, it was a year later that I traveled with the African Children's Choir, went to Uganda to learn English. Then I came to the United States in '98 and toured for 2.5 years. But I became a Christian while I was in Uganda because I was asking myself these questions: why I was alive, and if there was a God who cares for his people, why would he take the most people who were left to take care of me? But at this time I was reminded that hope and that peace that was planted in me by that shoebox continued to grow, and I started to see how I was protected during the war. And I couldn't ignore that. And that's how I came to know Christ, because I started to see the little signs he used to save my life, not as a coincidence anymore, but a part of his plan. And that's when I gave my life to Christ.
Well, good for you. What a story. Now, how old were you during the genocide, during the war?
I was 6 going on 7.
All right. So you experienced it firsthand. What happened?
So when the genocide started in April 6, 1994, the militia, the Hutu militias, came to our house and they attacked our family and they killed my grandmother. And after they killed our grandmother, they hunted for our uncle. And we were living in the suburbs of the capital city, Kigali. But life there was really tough. So we ran from place to place until when we came to a certain place with our aunt. And I remember how God saved my life in so many humorous ways that at that time I didn't see as God working. But one, for example, is when I slept in a cow pie and a bullet missed my head just because I slept in a cow pie. So just those small things that God used to save my life. But we ran from place to place and many people being killed during the war. But it was after the war that my aunt also died. And before she died, she put me in an orphanage with me and my brother. And so when we got to the orphanage, that's when we kind of lost everything, lost all hope. And that's when my Operation Christmas Child story comes in, that shoebox gave me that hope.
All right. Now, a little bit of history on the genocide. What, over 1 million people were killed, right?
Yeah, close to 1 million people were killed in a matter of 3 months.
Wow.
And over 400,000 orphans were left in the country. So it was a devastating time for the country. And a lot of people still struggle today because of the aftermath. The country is safe now and it's very peaceful, but the internal, the psychological part of it, there's still so many people still healing and from what happened and trying to find peace and forgiveness and reconciliation.
All right, before I run out of time now, the Lord led you to go back to do what?
Back in this year, when I came to know Christ, I continued to pray, the Lord help me to find peace in forgiving the people who killed my family. And this year I was able to meet with the people who committed those crimes, who caused me the most pain, and were able to share that love of Jesus Christ, that only through Jesus Christ that I was able to find that peace. And I wanted to share that with them face to face.
Wow. How did that go?
It was such an emotional time for me because my family had been killed by these people, but I was always bitter and angry because I wanted them to pay for what they did. But little did I know that anger and rage was actually destroying me instead. And so God used so many people to help me heal, and counselors that helped me get to that point where I can be able to forgive them and live the peace that only Jesus Christ can offer.
Wow. Now, are you and your brother together?
Yeah, my brother lives in Minneapolis. He also got an opportunity to come to the U.S. for school.
Wow. Well, this is all a result of a lot of things, God's intervention in your life, obviously, but also the gift of a shoebox. What can you say to those who are contemplating whether or not they should do a shoebox this year?
I want to tell them, first of all, thank you for the people who continue packing shoeboxes many times. And those that are thinking about it, that you're giving a chance to a child around the world that really needs that encouragement, that needs to hear about Jesus Christ, that needs to hear about that someone loved them. At that time when I received mine, it's only that little shoebox, the little items, the candy canes that I hadn't had in my life before, gave me that opportunity to have a smile and forget about what happened during the war, forget about the nightmares. But when people pack a shoebox, they give those children a chance to hear that someone cares, someone out in the world cares and loves them so much. And so it is a great way to send the gospel message to children, but also remind them that there is a person, Jesus Christ, who loves them so much.
Alex, you're an inspiration. When you pack a shoebox, what's your favorite item to put in there?
My favorite item is a candy cane. when I packed a shoe, when I received my shoebox, I didn't know what a candy cane was. And so I ate the candy cane with the plastic on it for the first time, the first bite, because I didn't know what it was. But so every time I put a candy cane, but I also put the most necessities, things like school supplies, hygiene items, toys, and just depending on what age you pack for, you can put even T-shirts and anything that are toys that will remind kids that we give them comfort.
Well, Alex, thank you for your time and your story. It is absolutely inspirational, and we work hard to get as many shoe boxes out of our area to get involved. So thank you, my friend. God bless you.
Thank you so much. May God bless you too.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back. Always a delight to have Bryan Platt in the studio with us. He heads up Jackson County Right to Life, and we got a lot to do in here in just a few moments. But you got quite a few things going on, big guy. What's up?
Yeah, just kind of everything's happening right now all at once, or at least it seems that way.
Yeah.
So, so we want to start with just an update on the petition Oregon 2014 drive.
Right.
And of course, this is the petition where we're seeking to put a measure on the November of 2014, the general election, November 2014 ballot, where we put a constitutional amendment in place that prohibits the use of yours and mine, Oregon taxpayers' money being used to fund elective abortions in the state of Oregon.
Which, by the way, as of today, your tax dollars are paying for 11 abortions today in the state of Oregon. Your tax dollars every day of every year in the state of Oregon, your tax dollars paying for 11 abortions.
I just think the numbers, people just, everybody's signing it that, is pro-life, believers and stuff like that, but I still don't think we can wrap our hands around that. If we truly believe that these babies are people created in God's image, why aren't we out on the street corners saying, here's my petition, we got to get this signed? I mean, this is a life or death issue for 4,000 babies a year. So people say, well, how do we get here? What is it? How in the world could this even be happening?
Voila.
Here's a graphic. This, and we all have stats and data and stuff, but I'm a visual kind of guy. I mean, this thing really put this in perspective for me. And what it is, it's compiled by the Alan Guttmacher Institute, which of course is an arm of or affiliated with Planned Parenthood. So this is the pro-abortionists data that we're using here, but to me it's stunning. And what you see is across the top are various colors, and those colors represent different types of restrictions that states have put in place to restrict abortion in some respect or another. The top state, Oklahoma. Go Sooners, or whoever you're for. Okay, so there's all these different types of restrictions. There's actually 10 different colors represented there. And as you go down the list, state by state, down, there's North Dakota. They just passed a personhood amendment, a while back. Here we are going down, all the way to the very bottom, the bottom one. And there is no color in that column. And that state is the state of Oregon. There are no restrictions on abortion at all in the state of Oregon. Why do we have 8,000 or 9,000 abortions going on every year? Because there's nothing reining that back. There's nothing reining that back. The legislature, our ballot initiatives, nothing has been successful in the state of Oregon.
Well, I don't think there's anything more stunning than that visual right there. That says it all. Wow. Come on. This is a no-brainer. We got to get these petitions out. Pastors, it's totally legal for you to have this petition in your church, and I hope that you get it into your church. All right, what's next?
Okay, so next is, we had a little deal going on here at one of the local high schools that kind of has expanded. Wasn't something we were asking for, but here it is in our face, and that is the influence of Planned Parenthood and programs that Planned Parenthood has managed to infiltrate into the school systems here in Jackson County. It's a long story, but the bottom line was a few years ago, Planned Parenthood of the United States gave a coalition of Planned Parenthood districts in the Pacific Northwest $20 million specifically to get into the high schools and began to indoctrinate high school freshmen with the Planned Parenthood message. They're very clever. This has been going on for 3 years. The school districts which said, we know nothing, there's no Planned Parenthood influence in our school system at all, absolutely none, positively, without question, this was put in under their noses. They didn't even know it. And it's because Planned Parenthood is an expert at using different organizational names and things. The Northwest Coalition for Adolescent Health. Oh, that's great. You know, yeah, it happens to be as a group of 6 or 8 Planned Parenthood districts. That's all it is. Wow. It's nothing more, it's nothing less, but it's Planned Parenthood and the pro-abortion message. The high school students are being indoctrinated. They're brought in. It's fun. It's peer group. It's challenges. It's make a difference in your community. You know, do something different. It's exciting. You know, they're together for a bunch. And if they complete a little survey periodically in this program, they get a $10 bill. A $10 bill to a high school freshman. $10. I mean, how many times can you go to the Burger Doodle for that?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and so we now have the Eagle Point School District is aware. This program is called TOP, T-O-P, Teen Outreach Program, and there's another affiliated program called Community Voices. So I'm asking everybody to contact their school districts. Have they heard of the Northwest Coalition for Adolescent Health? Have they heard of TOP, the just Teen Outreach Program, or have they heard of Community Voices? These are Planned Parenthood programs indoctrinating these kids, so down the road, when things get tough, who's the first person that they turn to?
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood. And it's all about the money.
$10. They're
They're
actually buying it.
And on they have to get their parents' permission. Okay?
So parents beware.
Parents beware. So the parent signs this thing. It says on there, on the Planned Parenthood literature, on the Northwest Coalition for Adolescent Health literature, some of these questions you may feel uncomfortable answering them. Well, can you imagine what the content of that questionnaire is? But it doesn't matter. These kids want to be together. They want to be in a group. It's something new. It's something exciting.
And it's $10.
And it's $10. So this is how they work. And again, what they're doing is they're building a relationship. They're building a friendship. They're building trust. They find out it's fun to be around. And 8 or 9 or 10 or 3 or 2 years, whatever it is from now, when they get in trouble, I'm in trouble. You know what? I think we got to get down to Planned Parenthood. I think they test for pregnancy there, or they test for STDs there, or whatever. And they got them. They got them.
Wow.
So this is a big deal. And if the parents don't get involved and begin contact, and as far as I can tell, it was a Jackson County program. So I suspect it's in every school district in Jackson County. Parents, you better call them and find out.
Give those names again.
Okay,
TOP.
So it's TOP TOP, which is Teen Outreach Program, or the Northwest Coalition for Adolescent Health, which is the umbrella organization, which is only just a group of Planned Parenthood districts. That's all it is. Or Community Voices. Those are the ones to ask your school board about, and that'll tell you if they have it. It's a Planned Parenthood program, in spite of the fact that all of them have said to me there is no Planned Parenthood influence in our school district.
Well, folks, you've been duly warned, and parents, you've been duly warned. If you have teenage daughters and sons, you need to know this, especially if they're in middle school, heading into high school. You just need to know. Write this stuff down. Get involved. All right, one more thing. You got an event coming up this weekend. This is annual.
This is an annual event. We call it the Life Chain. And, sometimes I've heard you say it, and we've talked about, you get so busy, I forgot to pray.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do we sit down and truly petition the Lord to end abortion? I mean, how many times? So this Life Chain event, it's in a public forum, it's in a public venue, it's at the corner of Biddle and McAndrews, and in Medford it doesn't get too much more public than that. I think that's probably the busiest intersection in town. But we meet there this coming Sunday. It's from the event actually starts at 2:45 p.m. It goes until 4, so an hour and 15 minutes. We give you a sign that says, pray to stop abortion, or something like that. on the back as you're holding, we spread out around the four corners of that intersection.
Very peaceful.
And we hold this. There's not even supposed to be any talking. This is a meditation and prayer event. We are petitioning the Lord to stop abortion, and we're doing it in a public fashion. And I just can't say enough about, number one, it gives you time to catch up. I mean, it really does.
Yeah.
And number two, the public needs to know that we rely on the Lord ultimately, you know, for our victory. I mean, look, that chart tells you that our human efforts haven't really done a whole lot of good, at least in the state of Oregon. So I would ask pastors to mention it to their congregants, you know, on Sunday. Pastors, we'd love to have you there. We're going to have one really big cross. I mean, this is clearly a prayer event. Wow. There is no doubt about it, and in a public place. So it's going on in hundreds of communities around the United States simultaneously, which is kind of a neat thing. It happens rain or shine. I think right now, my buddy Greg Roberts, he's claiming that it's going to be sunny on Sunday, but who knows from day to day. So I just, you know, it's a time to just stop and meditate and pray. And maybe for someone who said to themselves, you know, I just see all this stuff, craziness going on, you know, whatever the issue is, you know, Lord, will you lead me to something I can get my hands around? Yeah. Maybe come on down and pray and see if the Lord might, you know, lead you towards that.
I just really encourage you to do this, folks. This particular issue, I think, hinges on this issue, Brian, everything that we're battling. And until we stop killing babies in the United States, we're going to have problems. And until we get this issue straightened out, everything else becomes the result of not having this issue stopped. And I believe that. I believe everything we're doing in the United States hinges on the fact that we're killing babies.
You know, it's such a fundamental component of God's plan for society, you know, starting with the family. Right. And when we can kill our family members with impunity, it kind of breaks down from there. Yeah. And we can, I mean, we can see it. We're old enough to have seen the good old days, I mean, more or less, and to see where we're at now.
All right, a couple things now. If you haven't gotten the petition, get one. How can they do that?
Oh, you know, and we've got some now out in front there.
Okay, so you can come by the Dove and get them, and then they can take them to their church?
Yeah. No, and that's it. You know, take them to your church, take them out to your family members. Business owners, can you put one on the counter at your place of business?
Right.
Any way that we can find ways to do things that we didn't do the last time, because we fell short by 75,000 signatures last time.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and there's a website, it's www.oregon2014.com.
Okay.
Oregon2014.com, that has all the information on it.
All right, so that's the petition, and maybe you could be the point person in your church to head up the petition drive, and you got a year, but well, you don't.
Yeah, don't say that.
You
don't
shouldn't say that. Yeah. You got till when?
You got till next week.
Okay, I know what you're doing here. All right, it's going to be on the year ballot. All right, you got some things there.
Yeah.
All right, don't forget the Life Chain, which is coming up Sunday at the corner of Biddle and McAndrews. And this stunning figure, look at this. All of these here are states that have restrictions. Look at the very, very bottom. Last state, no restriction. State of Oregon. Unbelievable. Intolerable. It has to stop.
It has to stop.
All right. Thank you, Brian. God bless you, pal. See you Sunday. And get those petitions. And look out, again, those two names.
TOP, Teen Outreach Program,
and the other one?
Community Voices.
And then the other one, the Northwest.
Northwest Coalition of Adolescent Health.
All right. See if your school's involved in that. Okay. Thanks, Brian. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.